Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Island Time, your podcast hosted by me, your boy Tropical Joe. We have an amazing guest today, and you know exactly what we're going to be covering. We are covering the entire series review of the Captain America and the Winter Soldier. But I will let our guest introduce himself. My friend, the floor is yours.
What's going on, people? Tyrell here, Theories by T, as known on TikTok and all other social media platforms.
Yes,
sir. You, bro?
Yes, sir. I'm happy to have you here. I'm happy to discuss this amazing piece of art that Marvel just dropped into our feet after WandaVision. So the first thing is obviously what were your first thoughts on the series as a whole? We're gonna get right into it. What were your first thoughts on the series coming off the back of WandaVision? What can you tell us about how you felt about the show?
I will say on just broad scopes, without getting into the specifics and the parts that are very debatable, I will say Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's a strong contender for at the very least top 3 of my MCU movies, like including the films, shows, movies.
Ooh, okay.
It's like up there.
Starting off hot, I love it.
It's very close to number 1. I feel like it should be number 1. There are little bits I still need to think about it properly. There are little conflicting areas, but it is that I'm entirely happy with the show as a whole.
So would you say that it's like on par with WandaVision? Is one above the other in your personal rankings? How would you rate that?
So I had to think about that a lot the other day when I was doing my review, because I knew everyone was going to ask me this. And like with WandaVision, I rated it very highly. Mm-hmm. Like just going through episode by episode, everyone was like, "How are you thinking this? How are you finding it so far? Like what out of 10?" And I was like, "Every episode's better than the other. 8, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10." So like it's just line perfection. And then there was a few things in WandaVision that kind of just held it off of getting like it's pure perfection for me. Falcon and the Winter Soldier had basically the same vibes. It was like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. It's going great. It's going good. Then there are a few things I was like, you were so close to perfection. You almost had it. In general, if I had to weigh the two out, because I love them both so much, I'd say Falcon and the Winter Soldier just nudges it off. I'd say Falcon and the Winter Soldier was preferred.
I feel the same thing. And just like in general terms, we're obviously starting just by digesting what this happened. It just happened last week. Obviously, we came off the back of a huge reveal in terms of WandaVision that like Vision might be back. We still don't know. But obviously, as I talked about in my personal review and as I saw on TikTok by a lot of other creators, like WandaVision kind of like fizzled out in that finale a little bit. Like it covered all the plot lines, but it kind of like fizzled out. It had like the undertaking by itself was so huge that everybody was just like, "This is awesome. We want more." But the finale kind of left us like wanting more. And I felt like this thing just cranked the like MCU bus up to 11, bro. Like from the start, there was like action, drama, character development, pow, 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 straight after the blip. Like it had so much impact in terms of both the MCU and what it wanted to talk about from the jump that I was hooked. I was hooked from the start. So the first thing that I wanted to cover before we get into like the episodes and obviously the themes and stuff were like, what were your biggest surprises? Like what surprised you the most from the season as a whole, the series?
In general, I was surprised. Like I think I went into it in the mindset that this was going to be like Captain America: The Winter Soldier TV show. Like I thought it was going to carry that same spirit. It's just going to be like pure action, like buddy cop adventure. I didn't think they would lean into the drama and like the serious side of it as much as they did, in a good way. Like I'm like shocked and glad that Marvel went in on like how dramatic the show wanted to be. But I was just expecting like just like Rush Hour but with superheroes. It's like buddy cop action, like just an unlikely duo doing stuff.
I got that vibe from the start. Yeah.
But then but they hit the real dramatic tones. I wasn't expecting to be crying as much as I did. I'm not really a crier when it comes to my shows, but I didn't expect it to hit me like that. But it hit different.
I totally agree. I the biggest thing for me, surprising wise, is that the absolute consistency and tone from the jump, right? Like no succumbing to pressure, no sugarcoating stuff. Like they obviously like led some stuff up to interpretation, because obviously that's the cinematic experience that we're accustomed to from the MCU. But bro, like Kevin Feige, I think he told the directors, like, bro, we're going at it. We're going at it full force. This is exactly what the show is about. And what I'm talking about is obviously like some of the things were for some reason, and this is something that obviously I wanted to touch upon with you because I saw it firsthand, right? We saw massive waves thrown on social media, on Twitter, on YouTube, on TikTok specifically, and even by one of our mutual friends, Juju, Straw Hat Goofy, for the biggest thing, which was the tone of the show, obviously dealing with racial profiling, racism, social inequality, all of those amazing themes that we're going to cover later today. And people were somehow confused as to why does this discourse that's extremely important in our day and age, so like why is it infiltrating, for example, or how people were saying, why is it invading my art, why is it invading the shows that I like why does everything have to be political? And I'm like, bro, that's exactly what the show said from the jump. Am I hitting the right note here?
No, for sure. Like from episode 1, I mean, like that just literally the opening shot of like Sam looking down at the shield, for me, like that told me everything I needed to know before the action scene, before when he gave the shield over, when he was just in his bedroom looking at the shield. I was like, see where we're going with this. I can feel it. I can feel the vibes that's already getting there. And then scene after scene, moment after moment, this was what the show was talking about. Like like I said, from the jump, from the minute he chose like one of the only Black Avengers to come and see him off when he gave the shield over, from the moment he gave the shield over to the senator, who then immediately gave it over to another white man, which Sam did not ask for. All of these things were right there, right within the first 5 minutes of the show. It wasn't a blindside thing. The idea that it's people saying it's invading my content. I wasn't expecting this from the MCU. I wasn't expecting it from the MCU, but also it's always been in Marvel. I'm happy it's there because Marvel's always done it. Like Marvel as a comic book brand has, from the jump, never been afraid to have these kind of conversations. That like these types of conversations are the foundation of most superheroes in Marvel comics. Mm-hmm. X-Men especially being the prime example.
And I think that permeates into the entire like culture, right? For superhero, for comics, for just media as a whole. There's always going to be some level of political discourse, or some level of intertwined natures between reality and art, right? Life imitates art, or vice versa. And like for some people that have said like that's never happened, what do you think the X-Men is, bro? Like the X-Men is literally a conversation about marginalized people that have a gift, like their lives matter, right? And the entire world is like, nah, we gotta kill them off. Like they just suck. It's like, what?
And like, even if you didn't really fully grasp it in the comics, maybe you see the comics as a different medium, so you don't pick up those things straight away. Basically, every single X-Men interpretation, so the cartoons, movies, the spin-off shows, and all that, they've all addressed it. They've all been like, no more mutants. We must kill off the mutants. We hate them. The mutant race must go away. They always define them as the mutant race. Like you couldn't get any more on the nose with these characters. And even if you weren't like discussing race, like the live-action movies kind of blurred it, so it was kind of about race, but then also about like the LGBT community, which people still want to like disagree with. And so that I'm like, dude, there was fully a scene in X-Men 2 where Bobby came out to his parents.
Exactly.
Like, they couldn't be more on the nose in every X-Men interpretation. Like, it's about the marginalized communities. That's the whole thing. They don't want to see it. They want to keep blind to it.
People want to keep themselves blind. And obviously, like, that's the last note we're going to hit on, like, whatever controversy there is. Because if you are not aware, I'm just going to let you Google this one. You can Google your best friend Superman fighting Adolf Hitler in some of the DC comics. So, like, comics have always been political. We'll just leave it at that. But let's get into it, right? We got the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the series of the season, right before Loki hits in, right before Bad Batch. We start off 6 months after the blip in Tunisia. Sam is struggling, right, with this mantle, this symbol that has been thrusted upon him by his best friend, which we don't see the end for Captain America. The first thing that pops into my mind at least like thinking about it in hindsight, right? That first episode, those first two episodes, right? Really, where we see Sam really grasping the weight of his decision to give the shield back. Do you think he internally felt worthy and just didn't want to accept the pressure, or was it more like did he feel that he was worthy and then just like, I don't deserve it because Sam was like the best version of, not Sam, Steve was the best version of Captain America?
I think there's a kind of those two things going on in his head, and one thing was kind of countering the other. I think it's like initially on the surface, it was a self-worth thing. Like, that's basically what he said to Rhodey at the start. He was like this is Steve's thing. Like, Steve did this. He basically wants to honor Steve's legacy by not touching it and not doing anything. But I think that's what he was more trying to tell himself, that it was just like he didn't feel like he could live up to Steve. But throughout the episodes, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, every moment with Sam just proved the other way. So I was like, no, you know you're a good person. You're the best. Like, you know this every single moment. So I think what it was more the idea of being a black man taking on the mantle of America. I feel like, I imagine it's kind of pulling some like parallels of like Obama becoming president, where it's like, you know, there are a lot of people that might view like that as selling out or whatever. Like, you know, this is a country that doesn't fight for black men, so why would a black man fight for the country? You know, that old riddle. And I think that was going through his head, which is why the conversation later with Isaiah like kind of just completely took the curtains down for him and was like, you knew this. This is exactly why you didn't take the shield. This whole I'm not worthy thing was a lie, because you've been worthy from the beginning.
Big facts.
And you know
facts.
This.
Yeah, and it's been pretty clear from the first episode that people were not people didn't ever expect that Sam to be Captain America. They were always like, when is he gonna give us the shield so we can choose, right? So it felt expected, at least on my end. Like, as soon as I saw John Walker come out from the I don't know which building it was, I'm pretty sure it was the Capitol or something like that. As soon as he came out with like the whole suit and just smiling, I'm like, bro, this is exactly what we needed to talk about this dichotomy, right? Of what is not just America, but like what are these symbols, right? Who are the people that we idolize, right? What do they represent? How do they look, right? And how do they represent all of us? So that was the thing that I wanted to segue into John Walker, right? So he's the ideological, I would say, the ideological villain of this story, because I have my own opinions about the Flag Smashers. I think they kind of like fell. Their idealistic motivations make sense, and we can cover them after this. But they just fell flat. But John Walker is the main ideological obstacle, right? So, I have my opinions, but I wanted to hear yours. Do you think it was more of like representing Sam as the America, or like the Captain America that we should have, and then John Walker being the Captain America that like America kind of is right now, or is experiencing at the moment?
Well, I think John is the America that, within the realms of the show and outside of the show, is that it's the America that the government, or even maybe the public themselves, that's the one they wanted. They wanted, now not just like because he was just like a white man, blonde hair, blue eyes, but like one that is not bound by the heroic morals. He's in there to get the job done. He's not trying to sympathize with the enemy like Sam did with the Flag Smashers. He's like, I'm going in, I'm killing, I'm getting out. I think that's the one that they wanted, but then they immediately felt the ramifications of that ideology when he went rogue and just like bludgeoned one of his enemies and with the shields in broad daylight. And they were like, ugh, we weren't supposed to see that. We knew you were going to do it, but we weren't supposed to see it, my guy. So they felt the backlash right away. And Sam, I do think like this is where Sam and John are like parallels. Like John is the ideological villain of it, because Sam is the complete opposite. He represents the America that America needs. Like you said, that actually does represent America is and what at least what Sam wants America to be going forward. The person that listens regardless of who the enemy is. He listens first. He takes the time out to kind of figure out what's going on rather than just flying in like gung-ho fighting. He takes his time and waits. And I think from episode 2, there's a very small fleeting moment. I don't know, sorry, you're going like so timeline order, but
oh yeah, no, lay it on us, bro. That's what we're here for.
Episode 2, so there was the moment where Bucky and Sam are like sneaking around the Flag Smashers before they do the whole van chase with the vaccines, and Bucky's like, there's like 3 of them. I can go in there, I can kick them, I can destroy him. I'm a super soldier. I got my arm. Yeah. Sam's just like, I don't care. Wait there and listen. I thought that was a very subtle thing, but I think that just summed up what Sam was. Sam was like, no, stop being stupid. Okay, I've got wings and I can shoot people. Yeah. We can do cool things. Wait there and listen first, and we can start thinking about what the solution is. And that's the difference between Sam and John mainly. Bucky learned the difference going forward. He eventually learned that he needed to slow it down and listen a little bit, whereas John didn't, and John kept on kind of going into the deep end.
Oh yeah.
I think that they were Sam and John. Like, there's a lot of people you can kind of parallel to each other. John and Isaiah, Sam and Bucky, Sam and Carly. But I think Sam and John were like, in terms of the theme of the show, they were the perfect parallel characters.
For sure. And I think they both and embraced and embodied this whole theme of dealing with trauma and how trauma basically shapes who you are, right? Because we can. I'm not gonna lie, this is something that I wanted to discuss with you. Like, I felt that Bucky's storyline was a little bit like it needed a little bit more, just a little bit, just in terms of expanding on so much that happened. But both of them dealt with trauma in a different way, right? So the theme of the show with Bucky is acceptance, right? Acceptance of your past, acceptance of your misdeeds, and what do you do now, right? What do you do now that you went through these experiences? We saw him have his book, right? His little book of trying to make amends with people. And then we see John Walker do a complete 180 in terms of like the right way to deal with trauma, because he just chose that man woke up and chose violence for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Literally.
Like that, yeah, it was bad. And like the first scene where he's in with Captain America, he literally puts this guy in Germany like in a poll. He's like, "Do you know who I am?" I'm like, "What? What is this?" He's the Punisher. He's the Punisher, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, like he was an anti-hero from the get-go. Like, like to call him a villain, obviously, I think it's just like straightforward. But in terms of what he thought he was doing, it was pure like violence first, questions later. It was like, I'm killing you first.
Exactly. And the thing that I wanted to discuss, obviously, because we had obviously this is the trio, right? This is the dynamic that we're exploring, right? The white superhero that has a lot of trauma. And it's trying to deal with it, which is Bucky. We have the soon-to-be white superhero or supervillain, however you want to call him, that's dealing with the pressure of being chosen as like the symbol that of Captain America. And then we have the black man, the black superhero that's literally at every single turn being told that he's like either not worthy or he should chill and just like step back, let the others handle this. And so like this dynamic is wild, and I commend Marvel for getting into it. In terms of Bucky though, so how did you feel about how they handled his story? How do you feel about how they handled his trauma and dealing with the White Wolf moniker that was given to him by the Wakandan people?
With Bucky, this might be a controversial kind of way of looking at the show as a whole. I almost feel like especially the way the show ended most of its stories, I almost feel like the show should have just been called Falcon or Captain America, or like made it clear from the jump that the main focus is Sam's story and Bucky's story is also happening here. Because not to say they shouldn't have done the Bucky story, they should have done it, but it seemed like what they were doing with Bucky's story was more laying the groundworks to explore it a little more later. It was like, okay, he's got a lot of trauma, he's dealing with it throughout the show. Like Sam said, it's like, you've got to do the work, you've got your own journey to go on, establishing that Bucky's still going to go and try to continue making amends the right way and start healing himself, the unexplored history in Wakanda. There's kind of a lot of like we get to know Bucky and we feel and experience all of his trauma, but it almost felt like it was like yes, but also to be continued. Like, we're gonna keep doing more. So there's a I don't want to say they didn't explore it well, because I think they really did in terms of just very specific scenes. You know, seeing him sleep on the floor in the first couple of episodes, the flashback in Wakanda, like just his. I think Sebastian Stan's acting really sold a lot of what made Bucky great in the show. Because every moment he was in, he made sure we knew what Bucky was feeling any given moment. It's more just how they kind of concluded it. It was like, all right, it looks like you didn't really know where you were going with Bucky's story. Grand scheme of things, it was just like, we're going to explore trauma. Don't really know where we're going to end with it. But they obviously, like Marvel does a lot, they left the door open to explore it in the future, which is fine. You called the show The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I expected a bit more of a half and half situation. Like, we'll explore both of them at the same time and both will get neat conclusions. Sam got a nice, neat story in beginning, middle, and end. Bucky felt like he got a beginning, middle, and to be continued.
For sure. And do you know, I was going to say, do you know what my prediction is? We have there's multiple things that are confirmed. So before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show, we have Captain America 4, right? Confirmed. And we also have Black Panther 2. And like the biggest thing with Bucky is that his connection to Wakanda was explicit from the jump, right? So the time that he spent in Wakanda, those 2 years, were huge, right? So if you couldn't somehow tell by the nuances in the show, like the Dora Milaje and the Wakandans do not fuck around. Like, they will square up on sight and they will eliminate the target. Bucky stood in front of the Dora Milaje twice, actually 3 times in the show, and the Dora Milaje is like White Wolf, they showed disappointment in the man because it shows you they taught this man like what being a superhero is, being a Wakandan, or being somebody that like is burdened with that responsibility of being a leader, right? And doing the right thing, and not questioning yourself, just like do the right thing and then like mission completed, move on to the next one, right? So that leads to the next part of the show, which was huge and like this highlighted my opinion besides Sam, Baron Zemo, baby.
Yes.
What did you think about Baron Zemo coming back and the role that he played in the show?
You know what I have to say this straight up, this is where I commend Marvel. So before this show, I did not like Baron Zemo as a character. I see a lot of people saying he's one of the only villains that like succeeded in his plan. It's like, they were kind of already fighting each other. He was kind of just there, upset about things. I was like, he was always behind a glass door. We were always kind of kept like so far away from him. I never understood. Like, I get it. Okay, yeah, his family died and he wants to do stuff. General villain backstory, but like, I just didn't connect with him in Civil War. I didn't see him as Tony seemed like the villain of that story. So Zemo kind of felt very like just like another third wheel in that little story. Whereas now they were like, no, this is Zemo's motivations. This guy's got like Machiavellian ideologies. Like, this man is like, yeah, the world's screwed. We shouldn't give anyone power. And I want to be an anarchist. Like, screw this. Like, he's a rogue.
But I think it has some merit, and that's something that I was talking with other creators and just like in general. When did Baron Zemo become the voice of reason? Like in the Falcon and Winter Soldier? Like, what the hell was that?
This guy is a lot deeper than I gave him credit for. I genuinely, if they were going to tell me some of the villains, there's a lot of villains in the MCU that I generally just I can't rock with. They're just not. They ain't hit me that deep yet. Malekith, literally Malekith, the Obadiah Stane from Iron Man. I forgot what his motivations even were. There's so many kind of just like they're evil because they're evil. And Zemo kind of toed that line. Was like, I get your motivations, but also I don't care. I was like, first of all, personality-wise, they made his personality like low-key level charismatic. Also, like, his ideologies seemed bad, but always in the conversation correct. Like, he was always kind of like the one that's like, no, Sam, like, this is probably what the right thing to do is, and this is the right thing to do. He does bad things, definitely within the show, and he's 100% a villain fundamentally. Because of his, like, his higher level of thinking. Like he's on another plane of thinking. It's like you can't not say that he's right about so much.
It makes a lot of sense, man. Like, and when they were talking about the super soldier serum, which is another thing, which also wow, these conversations are segueing perfectly, because obviously like the main baddie of the show technically is the Flag Smashers, right? And they're led by Carly Morgenthau, who we meet in episode 1, but like only like starts to get her groove on in episode 2, right? This is basically a covert organization run by refugees, if you want to call it, that were basically done dirty by the Global Repatriation Council after the blip. So after the 6 months after the blip, because these people basically came back to empty homes, right? The homes that they loved were being lived on by somebody else. The Global Repatriation Council didn't care about them. No money, no assistance, and so they decided to become international terrorists. That's basically it. And so Carly is trying to lead these people, one world, one people, as she likes to say, in an ideological battle of being like, look, the people that are marginalized, like their lives matter, right? Our lives matter, and like we'll prove it to you. Why? Because we're super soldiers now. She basically gets her own little mini army of super soldiers. And she gets the super soldier serum. She steals it from the power broker. What did you think about Carly? What did you think about the Flag Smashers, and about the trajectory of their story throughout the season?
Honestly, Carly, like, there's a handful of characters in the show that fall into this category, but Carly and the Flag Smashers were kind of just there. I honestly, for this, and this is kind of the drawback of there only being 6 episodes, I didn't fully understand what her plans were right to the end, or what she was, because like the Repatriation Council sound like they were providing homes to anyone who didn't have a home when returning from the blip or whatever. But I couldn't tell if Carly seemed to be like, she was alive during the 5-year gap. And during that time, it was like, yay, we have homes and everyone can do good stuff together. And there's less people, so there's no border control. Everyone's welcome everywhere. And then when people came back, they were like, oh, great. Now the rich can have their homes back and I've got to go be a supervillain. Like you said, like because of the split between the blip and now there's refugees that once had homes that don't have homes, and now she's evil. My thought process was, well, technically not everyone who came back from the dead super poor or homeless or struggling, and not everyone, and they weren't all rich as well. Like, surely, who are you fighting for in this battle? Like, what is your goals represent? Where are you going with this? Like, and I think it's slowly but surely we'd learn a bit more about her character to answer that question, like her backstory, to kind of identify what side of the fight she's supposed to be on. In my mind, it was just like, oh, she was happy during the blip when there was less people around. She was like a Thanos fangirl. She was like, yeah, less people's great. It's great around here. And then everyone came back and she was like, nah, this sucks. Let's burn it all down. Like, why? What brought you from A to... There's honestly so much about Carly that confused me throughout. And I'm aware of like the behind the scenes reported issues of there were some scenes cut and there's storylines and stuff like that, which is like, fine, but they did not do a great job of like covering it up. It was like, what? Who's Mama Donya? She's there for like a scene, and she's just by mother figure that inspired all of these people. Happy New Year.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know maybe the backstory of what we're trying to talk about, the show is 6 episodes. Mostly everybody, while they did cover a cohesive storyline from beginning to end, at least I think, and I think T, you can agree to that as well. Like, they did have a cohesive story. It didn't feel like rushed, I think, but I do feel like the rewrites did play a big part. So for those of you that don't know, the Flag Smashers were not really going to be just the super soldier serum wasn't just like the main thing, right? They were going to release a virus around with, like, that was gonna be like, they were gonna be the ones to stop it, right? They were gonna show that they had value, or that was what was rumored to be the storyline. So obviously coronavirus happened, and like that's a little tone deaf, right? To have the biggest show in the US, at least for 6 or 8 weeks, talk about like just messing around and literally throwing around a virus for people to for like a group of refugees to cure it. So they did cut out a lot, and I think it is valid that 8 episodes might have given a little bit of more context, maybe to Bucky and the Flag Smashers, which could have been well received. But honestly, Carly served her purpose. I did feel, at least for her, that the last episode, the finale, gave a little bit more weight into a little bit of weight and context into that, because up until the scalding, right, up until like up until John Walker went into demon mode, it was basically just like a group of kids blowing a group of kids slash terrorists blowing up GRC buildings, right, and taking hostages and being like, look, well, we're not like, this is not a negotiation, this is like demands to like treat people better, and then just at the end it's just like, we're straight up going to war, like we're straight up like gonna blow up like a UN meeting. So that was like gonna be like a problem. So I do feel, as you do, that Carly kind of fell flat, and she was kind of like sidelined, I guess, in favor of the bigger picture, which I honestly don't think is that bad. But I honestly, now that we covered that, let's cover the final character before we get into like the nitty gritty of the themes and stuff. The traitor of the day, Miss Sharon Carter. What did you think of this amazing cameo?
Sharon. She's the subject of many a TikTok on my page.
I know, that's why I ask.
I've not even been shy in my opinion on Sharon. I did not like the reveal. I really didn't. Not like, I mean, a lot of people didn't like it because it seemed too obvious, which yes, it did. Yeah. And I think most of us kind of caught that if she was a power broker or she was working for the power broker, either way, she's going to betray someone. It's going to come. And I was like, cool, I'll wait for it to happen. I'll let them reveal it. It was just more that the reveal meant nothing. Like, it was what really bothered me with the Sharon thing. It's like, end story, like you said, was great for wrapping up the Flag Smasher arc. For better or worse, that was a good way to end it, because it left Carly in that position, like, of what she represented to Sam. That end episode was really to focus on the Sam and the Flag Smashers and that story. Sharon's thing was kind of just like, it just got plugged in the middle with no context. And I thought, if you were going to reveal this, I'm happy for you to reveal this, because I liked Sharon in episode 3. I thought she was really cool. Just explain why. Like, what was this? Is this necessary in the narrative? Like, first of all, how in the world did she do this? Was she dusted in Endgame? Like, in Endgame, on the monitor, she's one of the supposedly dusted. Some are saying, well, maybe she just was in hiding. It's like, fair enough. But also, Clint and Scott broke the rules in Civil War. They just got put under house arrest. So what were you running from? Tony was clearly doing favors for everybody. Like, you could have cashed in a little favor and you'd have been good to go. So like, the how confuses me, and how she created this massive criminal empire organization in a short time. Even if they found a way to explain that, which like they've found ways to explain worse. What for? What was the super soldier thing? What, like, why was she funding it? What, like, does that have to do with Sharon at all? All things that could have been said clearly were just kind of like set up for the future. They just chose to shove it in the middle of a very intense moment with Carly, right before the big Carly showdown. They were just like, but also this. And back with the show, like no repercussions, just a little credit scene later, and then we're done.
Oh yeah, and then like I felt it. I felt the dissonance from episode 2. So like for those of you that like didn't catch that, so we're in Madripoor, right, which is the criminal underground city, right? Like, so it's a mixture of like I think like Singapore, Japan, and like Kyoto is like the vibe that they were trying to give, like, or that's the type of vibe that they were going for. But it's basically like this island of just like henchmen. Bad stuff is happening on this island, and we meet I forgot her name, the girl that like meets them at the bar, or they're asked to meet them at the bar. Selby. Bro, Sharon literally snipes her right hand lady. Like, she snipes her, and like nobody does anything about it. It's like, bro, she's literally turning against her own people, and unless these people are like in on the joke, and they're like, bro, like, she just had to go to make a point to try to like keep her identity safe. Like, that's just like, that treason is treason, whether it's like the criminal underground or like legit like just people. So I felt like Sharon just had a complete 180 in this show. Like there was no context. But they said like, oh, they after Civil War, like the US like disowned me or whatever, like the CIA what's it called, expatriated me, so I left in exile. But I'm like, bro, how do you go from living in exile to becoming like a criminal mastermind? Like you're the Joker now. Like what the fuck?
You know what I'm saying? And like, it's not like you were like the director of Shield. You were an agent. Like,
yeah,
you can have like a superhero, and you want like the Black Widow or something. You are an agent of a prominent agent, sure, like Peggy's niece and all that stuff. But like, you're an agent of Shield, and then an agent of the CIA. Like, how did you go from point A to point B so quick? Like, whether it was the 2 years on the run between like Infinity War and Civil War, or if she was alive and it was the 7 years. Why? How did you get there from like a loyal servant, a country servant, to a terrorist in your own right, like a criminal in your own right?
And that's another thing that like bothered me about her storyline. Like, bro, when they're looking for Nagel, for Dr. Nagel, who's the person that's developing this new version of the super soldier serum that's trying to make people like more controllable, I guess is what they're saying. Like the super soldiers that we saw in Civil War that got killed by Zemo were more rogue, like kind of more like the Winter Soldier, like bottom line, while this new serum was supposed to just like make you a more of what you are but nothing else. So it's really weird. Like she literally just took them straight to her supplier. Like I'm like, this is like really surprising. She's literally throwing down her criminal empire. She's throwing it down in less than 5 episodes just for so the CIA can make her an agent again. It's like, this is weird. This is weird.
You can argue like, oh, she didn't expect them to kill him. It's like, well, first of all, that's Baron Zemo. That's the Winter Soldier, and that's the Falcon. So at the very least, he would have been arrested, if not then shot on the spot. Like, you're lucky, like that they got as much information as they did before he got shot. Because also about like saying that, she's the one that put the hit out saying, yeah, these guys killed Selby when she's the one that did it. But wait. And that means that you invited all of those criminals there to bazooka Nagel and blow up the ship. You did that. You brought those guys there. And she didn't even kill them like flawlessly. Like she took some hits herself. She was she did great in that fight. I loved her in that fight. But like, she was not running the room. Like there was a good few moments where she could have got killed.
Yeah, for sure. She literally, like, caution was thrown out the window from episode 2. Like there's no holding back. And that does lead us into a great segue to talking about Dr. Nagel because of the super soldier serum, right? That's where we see the volume, the proverbial volume of this series being cranked up to 11 because our boy John Walker experienced something traumatic, right? So in one of the episodes, I believe it is episode 4, episode 4. A character that we didn't really talk about because he's mostly used as a plot device, which is sad. Battlestar Lamar Haskins. He is John Walker's partner, right? This man has gone on tours with John Walker. They've both gotten medals of honor for experiencing obviously a lot of traumatic experiences in the field. And they become basically the Batman and Robin for this version of what the government wants to label the Captain America. And in episode 4, they're able to catch up to Carly after she kills people in Munich. And Carly commits the unforgivable sin, right? In comics, she kills someone even if it's accidental. She straight up Captain Falcons this man into a column, which was wild. And he meets the Shadow Realm, and that is the last straw. As soon as he sees the opportunity, and while Zemo, and we can talk about these 2 decisions. So like the first decision is Zemo seeing all of the super soldier serums, and instead of just taking one and maybe using it for nefarious purposes, he's like, no, bro, I'm ending this today. And he's literally stomp, out, but he missed one. So like, what did you feel about John Walker's decision given the context that they gave us, that like, bro, would you have taken the serum to save our compatriots if we were like on the field? Like, how did you feel about Battlestar and John Walker going through that decision of like, would you want the serum and why he took it?
Oh, I think a lot of this comes down to two specific scenes before that moment.
Mm-hmm.
That is one being the fight with Adora in like that little hotel room wherever they were, and the other being the following conversation he had with Lamar after that fight when they were just at like the train station or wherever they were with him. I feel like first of all, John's getting his ass whooped by like 3 black women that were half of his size really like knocked him down a peg. Like that man is like 6'3". Those women were like 5'9" at tops. Like,
yeah, for sure. Hey, but they're killing machines. They're killing machines.
A killing machine. They had the Dora, but he did not know that Sam warned him. He's like, these guys are worse than Bucky. They will take you to the floor and they will not help you up. They'll finish you. But he went for it anyway. He got completely, all of them got demolished really, but he got like sat down properly. His fragile ego, his what's the word? Like fragile masculinity.
Yeah.
That took a hit. So he was already like, they weren't even super soldiers.
Oh, God.
Which then I think
so great.
I think reminded both him and Lamar of like when they were at war, they were like, we had to do some really bad stuff and we couldn't save people while we were on tour in Afghanistan and stuff like that. And that sort of fragile ego combined with, now this is what I didn't like about Lamar's enabling of anything John wanted to do and trying to tell John that he was perfect and he could handle anything is what sent him on that path. Because like John was unsure about it at first. He wasn't like, immediately like, I'm gonna take this. As soon as I find a serum, I'm gonna take it. He asked Lamar like, if you were to take it, like, would you not be worried that you'll go crazy or what's gonna turn you into? Like he was kind of hesitant, and Lamar was like, yeah, but you're you, John. You're a great guy. You're perfect, and like if I had the opportunity to save those people with the serum, I would do it. So you're great, and every decision you make is perfect. Like even John knew that wasn't a true fact, but because he heard it from Lamar, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it anyway. So it was like his ego was so damaged from the fight with the Dora that all he needed was a little affirmation from his best friend, and it sent him down the dark path. But I think, like I said, like Lamar throughout the show was kind of an enabler. Like pretty much every decision, other than like one or two, every decision John made, he was just like, yeah, do what John says. Let's just roll with it. Yeah, everything John's decisions are right. When you got 2 Avengers trying to tell you what the better decision is, and you're just like, no, shut up, 100-year-old man. I'm listening to this guy. Which just, I think, it's just, yeah, John was fragile enough to have taken it in that moment because he was beaten constantly. And then the comparison that they made to would you have taken it to save people in Afghanistan was kind of like, well, regardless, it didn't help John anyway. Is why I think he went real crazy. It was like, I had the serum this time around. Like, it's not like when I fought the Dora, I didn't have the serum, so I lost. I had the serum, and I still lost Lamar. So it was like, well, regardless, your decision was wrong. Lamar's decision was wrong. Because of his fragile ego, he doesn't like to lose things, especially to women. He went off the deep end, moment after moment.
And I think that perfectly put, by the way. But like I think that also offers a lot of validity for Sam. Like that context offers a lot of validity for Sam, because like up to this point, even after the Mamadona funeral, where Sam decides to intervene and confront Carly alone and be like, I understand what you're feeling, because, and I think he says it like, my own country doesn't care about my story. I think that might be his sister, Sam's sister, or him, but they both they both convey the same thing, right? Like they are fighting a different struggle, but it is very similar in terms of the weight and the impact that it has in both of their lives and their motivations. And so that offers a lot of context into why Sam is worthy, a la Thor, and why John Walker might have missed the mark here, right? So Sam is presented with the choice multiple times, and he says no. Like Captain America from the jump, no. Super Soldier Serum, no. Like all this stuff, no, because he prefers the hard work. He prefers to confront the tough questions head on, and he understands the weight of his decisions. And that's what I wanted to cover. Obviously, like as we get into the themes of the show, is Isaiah Bradley, right? So that will be in a whole separate section in a little bit. But what I wanted to cover is this. So like right now we experienced the Dora Milaje, who literally floored Bucky as well. Like his arm just went kapoof. Like
they need a password. They put in the 4-digit code and that all came off, man.
And that shows you like how powerful the Dora and the Wakandans are. Like they just got that shit unlocked. Like vibranium is theirs, and so like they came for that shield, and that's what I wanted to talk about. Episodes 5 and 6. First of all, the fight, right? It's a culmination of a lot of things coming together, and it's John Walker against Bucky and against Sam after the death of Battlestar. And I saw it as like what is this symbol going to mean moving forward? Because we just saw it kill somebody on national TV, on like all the Twitter sphere. People were just recording John Walker scald someone with the blood still warm and on the shield. I felt like this is so weird. They let him escape as well. So I saw a battle of ideologies with Sam and Bucky coming out on top. One, did you feel like that battle meant the same thing as to what I'm saying, or did you derive any other meanings from it? And then how important do you think it was for Sam to finally own up and accept the shield?
Well, first of all, like, I think everything you said pretty much like sums up a battle. Like it was the idea that the blood was still warm, like right throughout the whole fight. Like, when the fight ended, Sam looked down at the shield and it was still covered in like fresh blood. Swung around, it's still covered in all this fresh blood, like, and like that shot of like Sam like crying, like just wiping the blood, like he was disgusted, like how stained it was and stuff like that broke my heart. But it did like that whole that battle, the three-way battle, was the kind of the exact ideological conflicts that you said John pretty much represented. It was like Sam is this, Bucky is this, John is this, and these were these sort of three heads all coming together. John was like, I am Captain America, everything I did was right. Like it's interesting because John knows that he was in the wrong, but again, his fragile ego was like, the minute he was challenged, he was like, no, actually, I was right. Like I did what I need to do. That guy killed Lamar, which he didn't, obviously, but in his mind, he was trying to rationalize it. And Sam was like, man, I know it's pretty messed up what you did. Just give me the shield. We ain't gonna fight. It's all good. We're fine. I'm gonna take the shield. I'm gonna walk you back to America. They'll probably get. He even said they might give you a pardon. He knew damn well that white privilege was gonna sort out John. He was like,
sure.
Oh, fine. He was like, they'll give you a pardon. It's fine. Like Sam was fine. Bucky wanted all of the smoke and more. Bucky said, if you don't give me that shield, I will put your head into this ground, John. Bucky wanted to fight, which again, I think it summed up him as well. His mindset was, I need to, like his idea was like, I'm running from the Winter Soldier, so I can kind of by doing this, I'm just gonna keep on fighting. I'm gonna keep running towards the fight to escape my problems. That it was kind of understated with Bucky, but that's kind of what I got in terms of the difference between the three of them. Primarily between John and Sam, idea of like, I will defend that what I did with violence, compared to Sam's like, you chose violence, I'm choosing peace. Yeah. Don't push me. Because if you want smoke, I'll give it to you.
If you want the
push
smoke,
me, but...
don't worry, we got the smoke.
And to be clear as well, that it was like with Bucky's help, Sam's the one that broke his arm in that fight. Facts. Sam was like, I'm just trying to take the shield. I'm not trying to do that to you. Don't make me do this. And Sam yanked that arm off, like clean off.
Bro, how did that's one thing, like that's one plot hole how did this man recover from a broken arm? It cracked on screen in one episode. Like
it went that direction.
I was like, that's some movie magic right there. Yeah.
My arm was in a cast. That's that whole episode as well. Like he's just fully like in the little sling and I get he's a super soldier, but like, you're lucky for that arm to just be in a sling, I guess.
Nah, bro. That's some grade A movie magic. That's Mickey Mouse like making it rain, I think. And then that's where we get to the meat and potatoes, right? That's where we get our segue into the finale. And we'll cover the themes as well later. That finale was amazing, I think, in my opinion. It covered a lot of things perfectly. It covered Sam's full journey, that like we from the jump we saw the reveal of the suit, which in my opinion is a banger, probably one of my favorite Captain America suits, super faithful to the comics. We saw Bucky coming at it, like helping from the jump, obviously serving as like a vehicle for the plot to move forward. And then we saw the redemption, right? So as Sam and Bucky are trying to stop Carly, which is off, like now she's off the deep end. She's a full on like a criminal. Like she's full on like it doesn't matter. Like we just have to one world, one people. That our job is to destroy the UN meeting. And like Sam and Bucky witness John Walker let go of the guilt, right? Let go of the fight that he had been going through all the time. Like he had the option to just go and try and clap Carly, but he saved the people on the bus, or at least he tried to. So I felt like it was a good way because obviously US Agent is not only like it's more of like an anti-hero, not as polarizing as the Punisher, but he's an anti-hero, right? He's part of the Thunderbolts. Like there's a lot of context to that. How did you feel about his redemption? How did you feel about the finale as a whole? Give me your opinions on that.
Okay, so with his redemption, it's not so much like I didn't. If they were to redeem, they're going to redeem him. I'm like, cool, like that's your choice as the creator to redeem this character. By episode 5, it very much seemed like he was beyond that path. The way I expected episode 6 to go was that Carly was going to be the one that could be redeemed, and John's the one that goes off the deep end. I think it was going to go the opposite direction, basically. Okay. But Carly ultimately makes because like she's the one that seemed most similar to Sam, right? Like I figured she'd make the right decision, and John would be going to kill, and it would get him into a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
And they went the opposite way, which I'm like, fine. I didn't really see Carly really lasting long past this show anyway. Yeah, so I was like, if you're gonna do this, do it. But with John, fair enough, they redeemed him. I just felt like they did it it was a very quick thing, considering a 5-episode build up to him going this much into the deep end, for it to be a one decision. That's it. It felt like an 11th hour repentance thing. Like, I've done all this bad. I'm doing real dark stuff. I'm gonna do this one good thing, and that's gonna reset my entire character. Like, I don't mind he did it again. Like, it was a great moment when he just threw the shield away to do that. What kind of bothered me was that like every moment with him after that just kind of framed him as one of the heroes. Like he was just like buddying it up with Bucky, and like now I'm back, like in the new black suit. I'm all cool now.
Not like you didn't kill somebody right in the middle of the street, right?
Yeah. Like I agree with you in that like he's in the comics, US Agent's an anti-hero, and I don't think the MCU has many people that fit the category of anti-hero yet. So bringing the US Agent to kind of to fit that bill was like perfect. It didn't feel like they were making him an anti-hero. It felt like they were making him a hero. They were just like, he's gonna be one of the Avengers now. We're gonna like him, and you're gonna deal with it. Like I would have liked to have seen. This is where like you were saying, an episode or two more to walk us there a little bit slower. I would have liked to see that change happen. If, at the very least, maybe like Sam or Bucky are the ones that convince him, that help him get there. That like say, this is the right thing to do. Don't do that. Him deciding on his own, kind of just been like, I've been evil for a while now, but I now choose to be good. It didn't seem like there was enough motivation to get him there. Like I didn't know what he was like as a soldier. I assume he saved people. Also, they implied that he was kind of messed up before that. So like, how did we get it? Just that my issue. I didn't mind he was redeemed. I just think it happened very fast, and I'm confused as to how we're supposed to view his character now. Like anti-hero, hero, villain. Seemed pretty much a hero by the end. I can tell.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely feel that. And then what were your opinions on like the finale as a whole? Like as an episode, did it fulfill your expectations? Was it better than WandaVision's? What do you think about that?
See, with the WandaVision thing, I think I love this finale for one thing. There was plenty of moments where I'd say like really strong, one of the strongest elements of the show. But much like with WandaVision, I feel like the ending didn't stick the landing how I would have preferred it to, for that exact same reason that I said. Like some elements just felt like they were like watching it mainly to, like, from what I can tell, classic MCU, we need to set up the next few movies and shows. So we need to do this one random scene with the Contessa and become the US agent and be this sort of hero person. We need Zemo to do something as well. We need Sharon to do something, and we need to get rid of Carly because she ain't sticking around. The fans don't like her. Get her out of here. They need to just get rid of her as fast as they could, which that bothered me. However, in terms of the grand scheme of the show and like what I wanted, the stories I wanted told, Sam and Bucky's story took priority that final episode. More so Sam's than Bucky's, but I felt like they more or less felt concluded. Bucky was like still a work in progress, but I think that's like where they wanted to leave him. Like they wanted him to be a bit of a to be continued. Like ending him with like Yuri and stuff like that and slowly making amends. Then Sam accepting himself as Captain America and like showing the world who he is. Like I couldn't have asked for more when it comes to Sam Wilson. I love him. He might be my favorite MCU character now. Like that finale with him was just like, I love Sam Wilson so much.
Anthony Mackie stepped up, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, it's hard. I don't really want to blame the show for this because it's not the show's fault for this way it ended. And the same reason with WandaVision. The MCU's two kind of biggest flaws in my mind are it's over reliant. Well, it really wants to set up the connected universe thing. They keep on wanting to connect this to this, and we'll throw this in there so that we can explore it in a later movie, and this explored in a later show, and da 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 da. Like, okay, it's fine, but can you finish this story before we get there?
Yeah.
Like, I'm all for a post-credit scene. But be like, back in phase 1, that's what they did. The little post-credit scene of the hammer, next movie, done. I don't need to see like Thor randomly appear in the middle of Iron Man. Just use it and go. Whereas this, I felt like they were planting a lot of seeds, much like WandaVision with White Vision, with the Darkholds and Agatha and all of these like a lot of loose ends. They tried a little too hard to connect to everything else without fully finishing their story as much as I think they could have. They finished the main character story. WandaVision did a good job finishing Wanda's story. Falcon and Winter Soldier finished Sam and Bucky's story, but extra characters that we came to be interested in, like, or at least wanted to kind of see more, Agatha, Hayward, John, Carly, they felt like they were kind of just like, all right, we need to finish these guys. We need to focus on the main characters, forget the rest of them, and just overall, they kind of just sort of fumbled there at the end. And the other issue in general, and this is just the MCU's problem, getting better at it, but they're not quite there yet. They handle their villains a little too cartoony.
Yeah.
Like their best villains are the ones with like depth, with like like Thanos, Killmonger, Loki. Like we understand you. We don't have to like you. Like, we don't have to agree with you, but we understand you. And they almost had that with John, which is what annoyed me. I didn't really feel it with Sharon or Carly, but they almost had it with John. Like we saw him from point A in episode 1 and 2, full on point B in episode 5. I was like, right, I can see you slowly getting darker and darker and darker, and now I understand who you are as a character. And then they did a very quick 180, and I'm like, I don't fully get you anymore. Now you're just like are you a hero? Are you a villain? Carly seemed complex, and then she went crazy. Who knows what the hell Sharon was?
Oh God!
Like, it just the villain issue in the MCU, and again, WandaVision. Like Agatha seemed interesting in episode 7, and then in episode 8, it was like, I could steal your powers. Like, okay, you know, it started out good, and then because they needed to rush their way to the ending, they couldn't be a villain that had a full, complete story of the villain. So I think Thanos, Killmonger, and Loki are like the gold standards. They're the 3 villains that were like, you started them at one point and you ended them at this point, and that's their character. Like, all the villains were just like, we need to kill these guys quick because they are not going to be in the next movie. Kill them. Get them out of here.
Get him out. And that's something I agree with you completely, right? The MCU needs to get a little bit better at handling the villains correctly. So I think the most compelling ones were like Thanos, Loki, Hela to a certain extent, Killmonger, of course. And that's what I really like. Like the characters that have depth are the ones that are the ones that are the most memorable. Even in the other properties, like Magneto is my favorite villain, right? That has been portrayed so far by Michael Fassbender. That man, like even in the shitty movies, you understand this man's conflict from being like experimented on, from his family being killed, to losing his best friend, to losing the people that he loves, to losing the mutants that he's trying to help. Like all of that like aids a good villain. And I think these villains that were shown in Falcon and the Captain America and the Winter Soldier, they were handled a little bit, you know, they just fell flat, right? The only one that really had some weight was US Agent, because of what we're going to be talking about right now, which are the themes. We left the best for last for a reason. Our man Isaiah Bradley and Eli Bradley. They are the emotional core, I think, in my opinion, the overlooming core of the show. I would say the little puppet master in terms of tone. I cried twice during this show. I cried twice in the finale when Bucky was talking to Mr. Cho, I think his name is. I forgot his name.
Oh, Yuri.
Cho is from another show. I'm so sorry, I butchered that. But he revealed that he's the Winter Soldier, and he like had his moment of forgiveness. But also Isaiah Bradley. So for those of you that don't know, Isaiah Bradley was the Patriot, or as people liked to refer him as, like the successor to Steve Rogers as the Black Captain America. The man was experimented on for over 20 years. He was not given the mantle of Captain America because he was given some orders that were not pretty, and he decided to not do those, not undertaking those actions. What did you think about Isaiah? What did you think about his story? The way that they ingrained the topic of race, which we can now discuss freely. What were your opinions, man?
With Isaiah and like the themes of the show, and this is something I'll test to WandaVision as well. The core theme of the show is what made the show what it was. Like that's what for me what made the show. Like exploring these themes and how they explored it with different characters and making these characters connect. Sam and Isaiah's stories kind of connecting at a point as well, like how they told the story through those themes. Again, like compared to WandaVision, like with Wanda and Monica as a core point of view into the greater theme of grief. That's really what makes the show. That's why like all the things I said about the finale, the villains and stuff like that. It's like there's the things that I noticed, but I'm always like, it's the MCU classic. It didn't ruin the show for me because the story that they were telling was that this Isaiah story was like just finally knit all the way through the theme of race, the like fundamentally. What does it mean to be a Black Captain America compared to anyone else, and like how the world treats people that are different, like that fundamental idea, like you're different, so I will treat you like this, and you know, but you are normal, white, or whatever. You're the common, so I will treat you like this, and it's like that fundamentally going through and being told through Isaiah's incredible story, like. I cried several times, and two of the times I cried throughout the show were because of Isaiah, like, because of how they did his story, and like Carl Lumley's acting, like beautiful, like haunting, like the story they told about him and the parallels you can draw to like how people treat Captain America, how they treat John in the show compared to treating Isaiah is devastating, so still accurate to real life. All of the themes of race that they explored, all the way right down to the microaggressions, which I think is where a lot of the conflict on like social media is coming from, where people can't quite catch the microaggressions. They're not seeing the fine line that's been there from the beginning, right? That pretty much every person of color who has in a place that is not, you know, the home country, you know, you take like an African American and put them in a predominantly white school, we could spot those microaggressions from a mile away. But when you see it on the show, you're like, okay, that was a microaggression. This show is definitely tackling race, feeding it in through that line, and then making it as explicit as possible with Isaiah. Like that line he said about like this country will never want a Black Captain America. They'll never accept a Black Captain America. Like that painful statement, and like Sam's reaction, like you kind of tell like he already knew. So I was kind of trying to say before, this is what he really like knew deep down in his heart, that's why he didn't take the shield. The self-worth thing was kind of like what he was telling himself. The idea of like it's how the country sees you, like you said, his sister kind of like be at home, like America doesn't fight for me, so why would I care about his mascot? Like, who the hell cares about their symbols? It's like, that was such a strong line. Like, that's so true. I mean, I'm from the UK, and like that same sentiment can be applied like word for word over here.
Worldwide, man.
Yeah, for real. And like, the way that they made sure that they weren't gonna let go of that. You mentioned it earlier. Like Kevin Feige said, "This is your theme. Do what you want with it. Go as well. Like, we don't need to hide it. We're not trying to like make it mysterious and make it an undertone." You know, a lot of the MCU films, people have gone back and kind of said, "Oh, this film can be, if you look at it this way, it represents this."
Especially Black Panther. Especially Black Panther.
Yeah. Black Panther. Black Panther's one of those, you look at it in one way, okay, cool, it means this, and you go back and you're like, you can tell what Killmonger's story was and make different interpretations. This show was straight up just like,
in your face.
We're not hiding nothing. This is in your face. This is every episode, every scene is so like intricately woven and so authentic, like to a point where audiences themselves, you'd either see it or you don't see it. Like, but if you've experienced it, you see it. A lot of like the women that I spoke to watching the show, like my female friends watching the show, they call all of the microaggressions to the women, like the microaggressions in the bank to
Sam's sister,
to Sarah, to Sam's sister, how John reacted to the Dora Milaje, the concept of him putting his hand on the on Ayo's shoulder, which is what triggered her to attack first. That was so subtle, but it's like, don't touch women. What do you do? Like, very quick and little scenes of that, where it's like certain guys that wouldn't realize that was the trigger of that fight. But yeah, just so intricately woven for the show. I think they killed it. And Isaiah, oh my god,
I cried, bro.
I could gush about this guy all day. I cry my eyes out. I was teary-eyed in his first scene when they first go to visit him, and he explains like, yeah, like I was first Captain America. I did this, I did that. Like, I felt it. Then obviously they left and it went straight to the police brutality scene, which hit me in a different way. Like the police stopping them. Sorry, hit me in a different way. But then we revisit him, and Sam just has the full-on conversation. He explains everything. That was the most tearful moment for me. Like, I was blushing. Incredible.
Yeah, man. And like it hit me really hard. I forgot. Nope, I cried 3 times actually. So the line that stuck with me the most through this show is when, like, obviously Sam brings the shield back to Isaiah's place, and he's like, "Nope, don't take it out the sleeve. Don't take it out the sleeve," because he knows what it means, right? He knows what it means, and the trauma it gave him. But the line that actually like broke me, at least in more ways than one, no self-respecting black man would wear that shield, nor would he even want to. And I was like, damn. And like not just because of that. So just to give you a little bit of context about me, I'm a white passing Hispanic man, right? I'm from Puerto Rico, born and raised there. I faced small but very poignant moments of racial prejudice, microaggressions. Almost, I can recall a few of them that were very telling, but nowhere near as much as my fellow Puerto Ricans or African Americans or any people of color worldwide, right? Who get that just for existing, right? And that relationship that we have to the symbol of Captain America or the symbols of our nations, our flags or whatever, what they represent for us mean very different things for different people. And for a man that was chosen to be Captain America and stripped out of that to say nobody that like has the same color of your skin that you and I do should even want to wear that shield it gives me chills just talking about it, because like it speaks volumes of the weight that we give symbols, the weight that we give celebrities or the people that represent us, like government. So I wanted to get your opinion on how they handle that narrative, right? Of like the way the system is right now does not represent us. does not help us and does not try to like move the conversation forward. How do we deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, the statement I feel like they made heavily, especially with that moment, and like that line again is like one of the ones where I realized that like Sam had thought of this the whole way through. When he said like no self-respecting black man won that shield, I was like, Sam knew that. Sam knew that's what he was like. I'm a black man. Like, am I a sellout for even considering to take the shield? Like, that's one of the things that run through your mind. Like, why would you even want this? Like, why would you even want this when they don't fight for you? They don't respect you. Why would you defend them? And yeah, the point that they wanted to make was that like the people, the marginalized communities in America and in the world, they do so much for their countries, and so often, especially in just the Western world, country does not offer them the same love and loyalty. It's like, where do we stand after that? Like, do we defend the country? But regardless of that, like, to answer your question, I think Sam pretty much like gave the perfect answer in episode 5 where he said to his sister, and like I'm getting like teary thinking about what he said because it hit me so deep. And he said to his sister, like, his sister was like, oh, like, are you gonna let Isaiah Bradley get into your head? Like, Sarah's idea was like, yeah, like he's been through a lot of traumatic stuff, but it's like, this is about you. This isn't about the past. Like, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And Sam was like, he's been through a lot, but what would be the point of all of that pain and struggle if I wasn't willing to keep fighting? Like, that struck a chord because in my mind I was like, that's what Sam's fighting for.
Exactly.
It's not fighting for America as it is now, and because that's the America that John Walker essentially represents. Exactly. They chose him. This is the America, and he's not fighting for the America that Isaiah represented either. Isaiah is like, this is how they treated me. This is how America is, and Isaiah is 100% like right. That's how America was, and that's pretty much how America still is. It's just evolved and changed.
Yeah.
He's not fighting for the past or the present. He's fighting for the future. His mind is like, you didn't go through all of that. Isaiah didn't go through all of that for me to just throw in the towel and then like no black man ever take that shield and ever represent America. So it's like, he's not representing current America. He's representing America as he wants it to be, as the future he wants it to become. And I thought that when they said the line, like that's when the penny dropped. Then the following training montage, we see multiple scenes where he looks at his nephews. Like, that's when I was like, oh yeah, this is it. He cares about the kids. Like, he wants the future. Yeah, he wants people to look at this Captain America and this to be fine. Like, he knows people won't like him. That's the way the world works. Like, not everyone's going to accept him. He said that in his final speech. It's like, regardless of all that, if I don't take a stand and if I don't take all that pain and struggle and do something with it, then that pain and struggle just sits and that's it. Like, there's no recovery, there's no change, there's no growth, and we don't go anywhere. So he needed to be that person that makes the first step. That's exactly who Sam is. He's like, he reaches his hand out first. He's like, I'm going to be Captain America. You guys might not like what I do. That's okay. But this is how I want the world to be. I want the world to be like this. Like that, just like, so inspirational. That whole training montage was like,
bro, and the speech is the other thing that hits me, bro. When he said like, oh my God, this line, we covered this in the finale discussion like that I did when the episode aired. When the U.S. Senator goes like, Sam, you got to understand, you're an Avenger, but these things are complicated. And he's like, bro, you could literally bring aid to half the continent with just 3 phone calls. And when he says, the line, bro, I want to say it exactly. He said like, don't you think I know what's complicated? I'm a black man wearing the stars and stripes. I know it's complicated. I can feel the eyes and the judgment on me. And I was like, oh, Sam, lay it in. Like, call them out on their bullshit on national TV, bro. Because that's what everybody would want to do. Like, right now, it's like, bro, everybody knows you could literally move mountains. Like, just by wanting to. Why is it so complicated to do the right thing? And like, because of optics or not being reelected, it sucks.
Is it like, and that's like in the realm of the MCU, this is where like Sam's point was like, they're in kind of a good position, but like an optimal position for change, because it's like after the blip and after what's happened, everyone's on the same playing field. The people that left and the people that didn't leave, the people that returned and stuff. Well, screwed. You just all of a sudden got 3.5 billion people just suddenly popped up. You are all messed up right now.
Yeah, bro.
Even if you have your home back, like the world, everything about like the financial state of the world, everything must be messed up. People like probably more refugees and more homeless people than ever in that version of the world, right? Just based on like population. If the half population went away and then the remaining population continue to have kids and grow, and they're not coming back to 7 billion, they're probably coming back to like 8, maybe 9 billion people.
Yeah, bro.
Like, so
what's your credit score after what's your credit score after 5 years in a blip?
You know what I'm saying? Everyone's in or out, everyone's in crisis. And that's the optimum position. Like now you know what it feels like to struggle. You said like it's so crazy to me. Like, the government literally could just take care of everything with 3 phone calls. There was like to compare it to like a UK current scenario. It's hilarious. Every British person finds this concept so silly but funny. Is that the football player Marcus Rashford? All of last year, his whole thing was that like he basically kept on going to like the government, the parliament, to the prime minister, and he was like, "Hey, people are starving. What's going on here? Why aren't they being fed? Why are so many people that aren't being fed?" There's a basic question. Every like 8-year-old probably wonders like, why are there so many people that are hungry if we have money and food? Like, what's going on here? We're England. Like that, you got a massive like ridiculous castle in the middle of the city. Like we have money. It's somewhere. Someone's paying for something.
Yeah.
It's like, why are there so many people that aren't being fed? And he launched his whole thing last year. He got like awards for it.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's like, we just need to put food in people's mouths, to give homes to people. Like he literally went out of his way, put his own money aside, set up charities, did all the legwork. As one, like, was he 23-year-old guy?
Bro.
Like just doing all himself. Understandably, he is rich, but like it's him, just one person doing all of that from like a sports background, like no less. Like, you are the government. You could have done this in your sleep, but you're waiting for this guy to do it? Like, what's going on?
And I think that's exactly what the show's trying to mirror, right? Like, it takes somebody in power. Even the people in power, like, Sam is an Avenger, bro. Sam has fought for the survival of the universe, and he's still being barraged. It's like, oh, did you I don't know you, did you play for LSU? I'm like, what the hell, man? Like this validation bullshit that like the society wants us to go through. And even like with like Marcus Rashford, it takes a United player to like this point out like the thing that everybody can see every day in the street. It's like, I don't know, man. It's like it's great. I think we have to commend Marvel with that. They're taking the tough conversations and putting them on the limelight, and it's forcing people. I love it because it's forcing the people that want to stay with the blinds to see it. Because if you don't want to see it, don't watch the Avengers, don't watch the MCU, because the entire world will. You'll miss it, but like we're gonna cover this because this is important.
Like it wasn't. You know what I loved, especially with that speech, like you said, like. It wasn't superficial. Like it wasn't just like he's saying some general rhetoric that you see in the comics, like, you know, we can do, but like he wasn't just saying like random like nice things to inspire people. He was straight up making full on. This was that like felt like it was directly to the camera, to the world, being like, hey, you, the government, the world, we can do better. What the hell is this that we're living in right now? Like we're in, especially like happening around the time of a pandemic, which you know. I don't like comparing the pandemic to fiction, but like as terms of a global crisis similar to the blip, it's like we're all struggling. Like we're all, everyone, the whole world, all of 2020 was like felt the ramifications of COVID. Like every country felt the ramifications of it. Some recovered faster than others because of much better governments. You know, shout outs New Zealand.
Money, that's
just chilling, watching us all burn.
Dude, they got they got rugby matches and music festivals while everybody's just chilling.
They're chilling. They were like, yeah, no, we solved this. We figured this one out. You guys suffer. Which I love that, but like. The whole world was united with that one common struggle, and the people that literally make things happen in the world, the governing bodies of the world, make it seem like it's this like big political thing. Like only certain people should be able to get this, and certain people should get that. It's like just do the right thing. Like Sam's line just like summed it all up. It was like be better, do better. Like what you're doing is not enough. Like I'm just some guy in Stars and Stripes. What do you want me to do about it? You guys have the power to do stuff.
It makes total sense, man.
It's
And
your
like
job.
I loved the way that they're integrating like nuance of what's happening right now, which is also some like part of what we were commending them for, bro. The scene that actually hit me hardest in terms of that was the arrest scene, right? Like the police came in, and as soon as I saw the sirens, I was like, oh, it's going down. Like Feige's gonna take us down the rabbit hole. And like, bro, the funniest thing, bro, they were going to arrest Bucky for missing court mandated therapy. Like they were going to arrest the white superhero, and they came in guns drawn almost, because Sam was like, oh sir, do you have like do we have a problem here? It's like, are you kidding me, bro? Like can you be more blatant with it? And people still decided to keep their blinds on. It's like, bro, this is a daily thing. It happens globally.
Yeah. Like then the fact that they chose to have it in Baltimore, and like I don't know, like I don't know too much about the specifics of different areas in America, but from what I'm told,
I've been to
Baltimore, is very common.
and it's very common. It's a very drastic like there's gentrification, there's stuff. Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, so like they chose to have that scene there that was an intentional choice, and like I after that scene that was kind of the one that was, like, confused me. I can understand maybe not catching the microaggressions in episode 1. To not catch the very direct parallel, like the Black Lives Matter movement probably has not been as loud as it was in 2020 in years. Like in terms of people listening to it, everyone kind of like being forced to actually pay attention to what it was. Yet you see a full-on scene of policemen literally rolling up on 2 superheroes because they thought the black one was threatening the white one. Which, just to clarify, because it's not left my mind really and truly, Bucky in the middle of this hot day, there was sun blazing in the Baltimore street, was wearing a leather jacket and leather gloves. You didn't find that suspicious?
Yeah, at all.
Was the one.
It's ridiculous, man.
Yeah, and the way they stopped, they realized that Sam was an Avenger, and then when they went to arrest Bucky, their guns were away. They were like, "Sorry, Mr. Barnes, you missed your like therapy, so can you please get in the car?" Like they were all nice and courteous to him.
It's like, bro, you were 2 seconds away from putting 3 holes in me, bro. Like, what the fuck?
I'm saying it wouldn't have gone well for them. Like Sam would have laid them out.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
Yeah, and then there's what's funny. There's like in the Captain America Sam Wilson comics, there's a similar scene. I think Sam's like stopping like a criminal, not a criminal, but like someone who's an anti-hero, I guess, trying to do the right thing, but he's doing criminal things. He's stopping him, and the police are there to arrest the guy as well as Sam, because they think Sam's working with this criminal. Sam's like, no, you shut up, policeman. I'm doing my thing over here. And then the police keep on trying to stop Sam. Then it winds up like Sam is literally in the street fighting the police, like physically fighting the police, because they keep on trying to bother him while he was doing his job. So I thought that's where that scene was going to go. And then they spun it and they're like, no. Just so you know, that's where it could have gone.
Yeah,
that's
it could have gone very bad. very
yeah.
bad. But yeah, it's the show overall, I think, opened a lot of eyes and motivated a lot of people to just not be complacent, I think, in a more real way, because they're seeing it from their favorite their favorite actors, their favorite properties. And kudos to Disney, man. Kudos to Disney. I appreciate that for a company that has had its own share of very controversial movies, very controversial moments. They've been very vocal about understanding and not veiling it away. So for those of you that don't know, they recently, for example, they re-released movies from like the 40s, movies from the 50s, where they had obviously like crows literally emulating Jim Crow, and like Uncle Tom, literally one of the characters being called Uncle Tom, even with Peter Pan, like putting in blurbs saying like, this is literally, these movies were filmed in a time where things were very different than what they are now, and we are dealing with the repercussions of these types of media. But I love that little blurb, because at the end is like, but we're keeping them exactly as they are so we can understand what they are, and we don't forget. Because like it always happens, like those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. So like you have to see the visceral part, like, because like right now we want to keep everything PC and want to keep everything like nice and cuddly and like digested in the easiest way possible. that's not how life has been for the past thousands of years, bro. Like you see it raw on the street, but it's just like veiled in a coat of like PC and flowers and rainbows. So I kudos to Disney for stepping up in this show. And now that we're nearing the back end, because obviously I don't know if you noticed, but we've been talking for an hour and a half, and I know it's getting late. I've loved this conversation, but we obviously want to talk about the future, right? We saw what happened here. We want to talk about the future. What do you think the impact of this will be? Are you excited for Captain America and Black Panther 2, like Captain America 4, Black Panther 2? And then what are your biggest expectations for the new Marvel properties?
I mean, I've been excited for the new wave of Marvel stuff. Like from Kevin Feige's announcements in December of like the 20-odd Marvel things that are coming, I was like, yes, this is looking. I don't even know where to what I'm most excited for. I'm like, yes, I want this and then this and then this. I'm ready. I want all of it. I'll take all of it in for whatever it is. And then for the turn around and be like, oh, but also you're getting a Captain America 4. I'm like, great. You're spoiling me, Marvel. You're spoiling me. So I'm super excited for what they've got coming next. They've obviously, between Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision, they've left all of the Easter eggs. They've placed where they want to be to set up the next movie, the next show. I'm ready. I'm very excited for Phase 4 to be so heavily diverse as well. That's one of the things that caught me, that bringing that on it's more than needed. I pointed out a video. Shang-Chi's coming up so soon, like Ms. Marvel, Ironheart.
Loki.
I pointed out a video, like, as much as we love the original lineup of the Avengers in 2012, like, okay, cool, we love them. I'll not stop loving those 6 characters. I don't think I need a team of 6 white people again.
No.
Those stories are done, and like, not to say that I didn't love those characters and they shouldn't continue exploring Black Widow and Thor and stuff like that. Like, I'd love to see more of them. But I would be okay if we don't get all the 6 of those people reuniting again. I'm fine for them to now literally just create more seats at the table for more heroes, for more stories to be told. Like WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier just showed that within the space of 6 or 9 episodes, they can tell such massively important and incredible stories that some people have not ever touched and not even heard. So I am ready for them to do that with all these different characters. Like, I'm ready to learn shit as well. Like,
yeah, bro.
That.
Yeah, so we were talking about that, and I think the big next step is gonna be that, man, because like Avengers number 5 was confirmed recently, and we also saw like there's so much news that I want to cover, but I know it's way too much and we'd spend like 3 hours. But like the biggest ones, obviously the Fox characters are coming to the MCU slowly. We're gonna get fan favorites coming back, so we're gonna get the Punisher, Daredevil, the Fantastic Four, which is gonna be a huge portion of the next phase because of what is teased to be Galactus. In my opinion, they should deal with the X-Men and Doctor Doom first before bringing Galactus, because Galactus, like, after Galactus, there's only a slight pecking order before you get to like the one above all. So like you go like Living Tribunal, Eternity, like it's very small. So like I would say leave him and just focus on the amazing stories, right? Because like in the X-Men you have so many people, and not just people of color, because like people are gonna say, oh, you're just gonna bring the agenda. No, bro, like the stories are important. Like Nightcrawler, who faces discrimination, and just because he's blue, and obviously he's marked with Archangel markings and stuff like that. But like Black Panther 2 is gonna be dealing with the death of Chadwick Boseman. Captain America 4 is gonna be a black man leading the Avengers, and possibly, which I'm really excited for, Torres getting the Falcon wings, bro. We have a Hispanic leading man, even if it's a secondary character. And not even that, bro, the multiverse, bro. Miles Morales is coming in. Is my boy. Is my boy, bro. You have no idea. We can talk about this another day, but bro, I was playing, oh my god, I'm getting chills. I was playing Miles Morales, right? I don't know have you played the game?
Bro, have I played the game? I got like these things just sit. What do you mean?
Look at this. Hey! Dude, Miles literally, like, so for those of you that don't know, Miles is a multicultural superhero, right? He is African American and Puerto Rican. So in the game, you see a traditional Puerto Rican Christmas, right? Like, was we have a blend of cultures, and not to just like go on a rant about like Puerto Rico. That's not the point. The point of this tangent is to say that representation matters. It matters heavily. Like, so for the people that don't understand why there needs to be a black Captain America, why there needs to be a Hispanic or black Spider-Man, it's because like these people have a global influence. Okay, and I'm getting choked up about it because like it's true. Like symbols that mean a lot to billions of people mean double to the people that they represent, man. Like it's really important, and I wanted to get like your opinion on the new new heroes that are coming in, and then finally we can look at the last properties that are coming in soon.
Yeah, like what you said pretty much summed up pretty much anything I was going with the new properties. Like with Miles, like, yeah, the game representing like his Puerto Rican culture. I would argue the game probably representing his Puerto Rican side more than I say the movie did, which kind of just like,
but it's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, but like just having the, like I said, the traditional Puerto Rican Christmas, and like him just like naturally speaking Spanish to his mom and stuff like that, like getting those things in that to general gamers, of general people like just experiencing the story, it's not gonna hurt them. They're just like, okay, cool, he's Puerto Rican, so he speaks Spanish. Next, and then continue playing the game. Yep. But like you said, but to the people that being represented, yep, that means like triple. Like people said it in like when watching like One Division, Falcon and Winter Soldier. There are people in my genuine. This is I don't even know if this is irrelevant, but in my comment section of the Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 3 or 4, people were just excited that they were in Latvia. There were people in the comments that were like, "Oh my god, they're in Latvia! That's that street in Latvia!"
Yeah.
Like, small things like that. It's like it matters, man. Like people want to feel seen, and yes, like Hollywood is an American institution, but now they film these things all over the globe. These actors are from all over the globe. These characters have global influence. It's not all about just. I know New York in the Marvel universe is like the central hub for all kinds of invasions. Like,
Doctor Strange is just seeing everything in 4K without stepping in. Like, yo,
yeah. He's doing what the ancient one did. He's just on that roof, just catching the tan. Just like anytime someone comes near him, he'll be like, "Get out of here, you." No, but like that, yeah, representation is like huge. One of the key things, and to see like now seeing like Torres coming in as like a Hispanic superhero. America Chavez is going to be coming in. We've got now the origin of
Shang-Chi
Spectrum. We've got Shang-Chi coming. Ms. Marvel, the first Pakistani superhero, period. Like, let alone Muslim superhero. Let alone just a leading character, just the first Pakistani superhero, and one of the only superheroes that in my mind to actually represent like sort of that side of Asia, like South Asia, like the most prominent one. She's only introduced in 2016, like not that long ago.
Yeah,
like to see her coming and getting
Valkyrie with the LGBT community.
Valkyrie, yeah, like I mean, the LGBT community is something that Marvel's lacked for a long time now. Like even the X-Men universe kind of got there before the MCU did. It's like,
even
guys,
Star Wars, which never does that, had like a kiss. I was like, bro, Marvel, get with the program.
With it, and like the comic books do it, and like the movies just are not having it. They're not feeding into the story. So, and this next phase just feels like they can do so much of that and more. Like the doors are just completely open to whatever stories they want to explore. And the more this is the thing, the more diverse stories they explore, the more diverse characters we get. Just by way of exploring Sam Wilson as Captain America, by proxy, we now get Torres, who everyone loves and everyone wants to see more of. Like now, like if he appears in the Captain America 4 movie, there's a good chance that the circle's going to continue. One more time with Sam Wilson, we're going to want to see more Torres stories and like leading him as a leading man. Shang-Chi is going to be like the lead character in his movie, but much like with Black Panther, I'm guaranteed we're going to be falling in love with all of the cast of that movie. Dude, like I'm going to see more of everyone, Aquafina especially.
Yes, sir. Dude, I'm excited. And like we have a lot, right? We're super excited. Wrapping it all up. In the future, we got Bad Batch for Star Wars coming soon. And the big box office draw of this summer, Loki. So that one's going to be a very influential because we're getting an official look at the multiverse.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that? What are you most excited about that? Starting the multiverse journey.
If anything, in terms of the multiverse, especially how they seem to be explaining it in the trailers, and I hope they just make it like either abundantly clear or not clear at all, is how this alternate timeline nonsense works. Because I don't understand it. I try so hard to understand it, and it almost makes sense. Like it does in the world of the MCU anyway. Like the concept makes sense, but like how the MCU explained it, like they by way of time travel is a lot of weird plot holes and confusing elements come in. Like in terms of what type of time travel they adhere to.
Yeah.
It's all a little out there, but the easiest way to understand it for me was always the alternate timeline theory. But some people are like, no, like because of how Cap came back in the old timeline, there's no alternate timelines. It's just the one thing. It seems like Loki's gonna just be like, okay, forget all of that. Don't worry about that. This is time travel now. This is how time travel works.
Yeah.
Let's go. I want like a Doctor Who Criminal Minds crossover story, which like time travel shenanigans of Loki. I'm ready for this. I'm ready for alternate versions of Loki himself. Like that. The idea of him seeing himself as like DB Cooper, and I want that so much.
Yeah, that makes sense. And just to cover it, that a little bit. So basically, like the comics are really convoluted. Obviously, like there's obviously decades of history, but basically the way that they explain it in the comics, like what we're seeing now, like what we saw in the Avengers up to Endgame and like up to now, is called Earth 616. For those of you that don't know, for those that are watching that don't know. And basically Earth 616 is called like Earth Prime or whatever, and the same thing happens with like a DC. Like there's the central focal point of where how things happen, right? So Uncle Ben dies, Spider-Man gets his powers, like the Tony gets captured, right? So like everything happens how we've seen it in the MCU, but there's alternate timelines, and that's what Marvel is going to be covering in Loki, in the What If series. So it's other stories based on what would have happened if, for example, if T'Challa became Star-Lord and was the one that's exploring the multiverse, just like helping people out. What if it was Gwen that got the powers instead of Peter, and Peter died, and like that's the person that inspired her to become Spider-Gwen. So like all that stuff is going to be really cool because it's dealing with a lot of interesting concepts and time travel. I know that they like Endgame tried to tease it, but it was like a little bit weird, just like going into different time streams and stuff like that. But I'm excited, man. So I would say to end it off, to cap it all off, give me your biggest winners and losers of the show or of Marvel so far, and then what are you most looking forward to? Like you got to give me one thing that you're most looking forward to in the next like 3-4 months.
Yeah, cool. All right. So biggest wins of the show in general, of the show in general. Oh, Sam Wilson ate that show up and left no damn crumbs.
Yes,
that man killed it from beginning to end. Every single moment he was on screen, I was like, that's my guy. That's my Captain America. I've been thinking about it a lot, but he has taken the top spot of my favorite character in the MCU. I've ran through my mind. He won that show for me. With close seconds to Bucky and Isaiah. I think were like I just loved through the show. This is the show. Unfortunately, I will say Carly and Flag Smashers Incorporated. They were just there, and probably not intentionally, but Sharon. Sharon
traitor.
Because I don't really understand what's going on with her. She could have not been there, and the story would have played out the same. So, I was like, it's fine. And what was the third question?
What are you most which property or which thing are you most looking forward to in the next like 3 or 4 months in the slate of Marvel comics or the MCU in general?
Okay, so I don't think it's got a confirmed release date yet. We just know it's the summer. I'm gonna say Marvel What If.
Ooh, okay.
All of those series look great. For one thing, we get to like this will be like Chadwick Boseman's his final acting role because he did record his voice work before he passed. But like E. Carter is like Captain Britain. I want to see what would happen. Like I'm pretty sure they like in the trailer. I think they killed Thor. I think they're doing a what if version if Hawkeye actually shot Thor and like what that world looks like. Loki is president. The Marvel zombies, bro. Like,
that would have been insane.
I want all of these stories. And like, apparently they did like 12 episodes and stuff. So like, I'm ready for a nice, this crazy, wild multiverse story with like the Watchers and stuff. That's,
I love it.
The stories are endless. I'm mega excited.
For sure, for sure. At least for me, the biggest winner is definitely for me, Isaiah Bradley. Like, whoa. Like, this man had, even though there's no like flashback scenes to him doing some like really wild, cool stuff, his story is so important and so well made for somebody that spent probably less than an hour total of screen time in 6 episodes. He's the total winner. The man got his just due. He's in the Museum of History, forever enshrined as the rightful successor of Captain America. And they didn't cover any of the tracks. They explained everything that happened to him, which is very commendable. And that hug at the end really meant a lot. The biggest loser for me, the damn flag smashers, bro. And because Jesus, bro, like you were so close and yet you missed the mark by so much. Like you could have just like, even if you had the hostages, like you crossed the line, man. You killed 12 people in Munich. You tried to like blow up the UN. Like, nah, bro.
They lit the van on fire for reasons like
oh yeah, like nah, like no way. Even I was gonna say John Walker, but John Walker also got his like fair share of like limelight, and now he's the US agent with Madam Hydra. So that's gonna be dope. All right, so that was a great conversation. I absolutely loved talking to you, man. So I'll give you a nice spot. Just plug everything you got, because we're definitely, I think we're gonna be seeing a lot from you very, very soon, man.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me. Yeah, Theories by T on TikTok, Theories by T on Twitter as well, Theories by Tyrell, Tyrell on YouTube, because I was dominating my YouTube channel, so it's Theories by Tyrell. And on Instagram, I'm at Tyrell Films, TYRELLMFILMS. Where you can kind of see my TikTok stuff as well as what I do with my day job and life and my personality and whatnot. Yeah, I'm spreading out all my social media. I'll probably be on Twitch at some point soon as well. I'm gonna find you on Twitch, my guy.
Yeah, baby. Join the squad.
It'll most likely be Theories by T if anyone's catching this video like super late or whatever. Like Theories by T is probably gonna be the name. So yeah, I'm gonna find you on Twitch when I get on there, my guy.
Yeah, I'm streaming on YouTube actually, but yeah, join the squad, join the stream squad, bro. And if you need any help or if you want a second player for the duos, I got you. You've heard enough promo from me. Everything is gonna be in the description. I'm gonna put also T's links in the description of this video when it comes out, probably tomorrow. But yeah, thank you guys very much. We appreciate all of your support. And for the next the next round of content, you're gonna see a lot of Bad Batch stuff, Marvel, DC, lots of good crossovers and explanations, and hopefully lots of great collabs like this one. So thank you guys very much. It's your boy Tropical Joe, and see you on the next one. Bye bye.